It was a cold and lonely night. Rain was falling like silver threads from the dark sky, and the streets were empty. Only the sound of tires rolling on wet asphalt could be heard. Daniel, a single father, was driving home after a long day of work. His hands were tired on the steering wheel, and his eyes burned from the glow of the dashboard. He sighed softly, thinking about his daughter, Leah, who was waiting for him with a small birthday cake. It was his own birthday tonight, but he had missed it again. His boss had asked him to work overtime, and he could not say no. He needed the money. Ever since Leah's mother passed away 2 years ago, life had been a battle of long hours and short nights. As the rain grew heavier, Daniel noticed something strange on the side of the road. A faint light shimmered between the trees. At first, he thought it was a reflection. But then he saw a figure, a woman, standing in the rain, motionless, her clothes shining faintly like silver fabric. He slowed the car and stopped, his heart beating faster. "Hey, are you okay?" He called out through the open window. The woman turned slowly toward him, her eyes glowing with a soft blue light, water streaming down her pale face. "Please," she whispered, her voice weak but clear, "help me." Daniel's instincts told him something was wrong, but his heart couldn't leave anyone in trouble. He got out of the car, grabbed his jacket, and ran toward her. The rain soaked him instantly. When he reached her, he saw she was trembling, her skin cold like metal. "You're freezing," he said, wrapping his jacket around her shoulders. "There's a gas station not far. I can take you there." She nodded slowly, but her eyes darted around the dark forest like she was afraid of something. "No, no station," she said quietly. "They'll find me." Daniel frowned, confused. "Who will find you?" he asked, but she didn't answer. She just looked up at the sky, and for a brief moment, Daniel saw three faint lights moving among the clouds, not like planes but silent, fast, and bright. He helped her into his car, and as soon as she sat down, the dashboard lights flickered, the radio made a strange static sound, and Daniel's phone lost signal. He tried to start the car again. It worked, but something felt off. "Do you have a name?" he asked gently, trying to calm her. She hesitated, then whispered, "Era." "Okay, Era," Daniel said, driving slowly. "You're safe now. I'll take you to my house. My daughter's there. You can rest." Era looked at him, her glowing eyes softening for a moment. "You are kind," she said quietly. "Humans still care." Daniel smiled nervously, not sure what she meant. He thought maybe she was in shock or confused, but the way she said humans made him wonder. After a few minutes, they reached his small wooden house at the edge of town. Lights glowed faintly from inside, and Daniel could see a small paper banner through the window that said, "Happy Birthday, Dad." His heart twisted with guilt. He helped Era inside. The moment she crossed the doorway, the lights flickered again. The TV turned on by itself, showing only static, and the air around her seemed warmer, like an invisible energy surrounded her. Leah, a small girl with curly brown hair, ran out from her room, holding a small cupcake with one candle still burning. "Daddy," she said excitedly, then looked at Era with wide eyes. "Who's that?" Daniel smiled tiredly. "She's a friend, sweetheart. She needs our help." Leah tilted her head, curious. "She looks like an angel." Era smiled softly, kneeling down to the child's height. "You are kind, little one," she said gently. But Daniel noticed how Era's wrist glowed faintly blue under her sleeve, and how the candle flame on Leah's cupcake flickered as if reacting to her presence. After Leah went back to her room, Daniel gave Era a blanket and a cup of warm tea. She touched the cup carefully, as if learning what it was. "You live here alone?" she asked quietly. "Just me and my daughter," Daniel replied, sitting opposite her. "We manage." Era looked at the family photo on the wall, a picture of Daniel, Leah, and a smiling woman. "She is gone," Era said softly, not as a question, but as if she already knew. Daniel froze. "How do you know that?" he asked, his voice trembling slightly. Era looked down, her expression unreadable. I see it in your eyes, she whispered, then added, I lost someone too. The rain outside grew stronger, wind howling against the windows. Daniel stood up to check the lock, when suddenly a strange humming sound came from outside, deep and mechanical. The lights flickered again. He turned toward Era, who was standing now, her eyes glowing brighter than before. What is that sound? Daniel asked. Era took a deep breath. They found me, she said, her voice shaking. I shouldn't have come here. Daniel looked out the window, and his blood ran cold. Through the curtain, he saw 3 small blue orbs hovering in the sky, scanning the area like silent watchers. He turned back to Era, confused and frightened. Who are they? What do they want? Era looked directly into his eyes, her expression filled with both fear and sadness. Not who, Daniel, she whispered. What? The sound outside grew louder, lights flashing through the window, and Daniel realized something unbelievable. This woman, this stranger he brought home, was not from this world. Era's glowing eyes dimmed for a second, and she said in a trembling voice, Please trust me. They will come for me soon, and maybe for you too. Daniel stood frozen, heart pounding, as thunder crashed outside, and in that moment he knew this night was only the beginning. The rain didn't stop that night. It only grew heavier, drumming endlessly on the roof. Lightning flashed across the sky, and each flash made the shadow of Era move across the walls like a ghost. Daniel locked every door and window, his mind racing with questions. Who were they? And what did she mean when she said maybe for you too? Leah was asleep in her room, hugging her stuffed bear, her small face peaceful. She didn't know that something otherworldly was happening just outside her window. Daniel looked at Era, who stood silently near the window, her eyes glowing faintly, watching the lights in the sky moving slowly away. They are leaving, she said softly, for now. Daniel walked closer, his voice low. Era, I need to know what's going on. Who are you running from? She turned toward him, her face calm but sad. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. Try me, he said, crossing his arms. Era looked down, her fingers tracing the edge of the table. I came from beyond your world, she said, from a place your people call the Veil Sector. Daniel blinked, confused. You mean another planet? She nodded slowly. Yes, another planet, another war, she whispered. I was sent here to watch, to learn, but when I saw what they were doing, I couldn't obey anymore. Who is they? Daniel asked, his voice trembling slightly. She looked at him, and for a second her pupils changed, not round but shaped like small glowing rings. The ones who built me, she said quietly, and the ones who built you. Daniel froze, his breath caught. What do you mean, built me? Era smiled faintly, shaking her head. You don't know yet, she said softly. It's better that way for now. Daniel felt anger rising in his chest. You can't just say something like that and stop there, he said sharply. What do you want from me? Era looked up, her blue eyes filled with sorrow. I want to survive, she said. I want to protect what's left of your kind before it's too late. Before Daniel could answer, the lights flickered again and the room went dark. Leah screamed from her bedroom. Daniel rushed toward her. Leah! I'm here, he said, holding a flashlight. He found her sitting up in bed, eyes wide, pointing toward the window. Daddy, someone's outside, she whispered. Daniel turned and saw a dark silhouette moving near the trees, tall and thin, its body glowing faintly blue, like liquid metal shifting under skin. He closed the curtain quickly and turned to Era. Is that them? Era nodded slowly, her voice cold now. One of their hunters, she said. They don't stop until they find what they lost. Daniel's heart raced. He looked at his daughter, then back at Era. We have to leave, he said. No, Era said. We stay, running won't work. They will track my signal anywhere I go. Daniel didn't understand. Then how do we stop them? Era raised her hand, and the small circular device on her wrist glowed brighter. Suddenly, all the lights in the room came back on, but with a soft blue hue like moonlight. "We hide," she said, "not from sight but from their sense." The air shimmered around them, and Daniel felt a strange vibration through the floor. "What did you do?" he asked. "I cloaked the house," Era replied, breathing heavily. "They won't see us for a while, but I can't hold it long." Daniel looked at her. Her hands were trembling, and faint cracks of light appeared on her wrist device. "You're hurting yourself," he said. She smiled faintly. "Pain is not new to me," she whispered. Minutes passed, but it felt like hours. The humming sound outside slowly faded, and silence returned. Only the rain kept falling. Era sat on the floor, exhausted, her glow dimming. Daniel handed her a towel. "You need to rest," he said softly. "You look like you haven't slept in days." She looked up at him, her eyes tired. "Days. On my world I have been running for 2 cycles," she said. "Each cycle is like your year." Daniel was silent, trying to process everything. "Why are they chasing you?" he asked finally. Era hesitated, then whispered, "Because I took something from them." Daniel frowned. "What did you take?" She looked toward Leah's room, her expression softening. "Not what," she said quietly. "Who?" Daniel's chest tightened. He stepped closer. "Era, what are you saying?" Era closed her eyes. "You wouldn't understand yet," she said, "but soon you will see what they truly are." Outside, thunder rolled again, but this time it didn't sound natural. It was deeper, mechanical, vibrating the ground beneath the house. Daniel looked out through the curtain and saw a massive shadow above the clouds, larger than any aircraft he had ever seen, slow and silent, moving like a floating city. He turned to Era. "What is that?" Her voice trembled. "Their collector," she said. "It hunts those who break their command." Daniel grabbed his old rifle from the wall, even though he knew it wouldn't help against something like that. "You brought this to my home," he said, angry but scared. "My daughter's here." Era stood up, her face filled with guilt. "I didn't want to," she said, "but you were the only one I could trust." "Why me?" Daniel demanded. Era looked at him with those glowing blue eyes that seemed to see right through his soul. "Because, Daniel," she said softly, "once long ago you helped me too." Daniel froze, confusion washing over him. "What are you talking about? We never met." Era stepped closer, whispering, "Not in this life." A loud noise interrupted her words. A sudden crash outside, metal scraping against the ground. Daniel ran to the window and saw a strange drone half buried in the mud, its blue lights blinking, scanning the area. "It found us," Era whispered, her voice filled with fear. Daniel turned to her. "Then we run," he said, grabbing Leah's blanket. But Era shook her head. "If we run now, they will find the child," she said, her tone suddenly cold. "And I cannot let that happen." Her wrist device began to glow again, brighter than before. The walls shimmered, and the whole house trembled slightly. Daniel covered Leah as she woke up frightened. Era's eyes turned fully blue now, light pouring from them like liquid fire. "Close your eyes," she said, her voice echoing strangely. "This will only take a moment." Daniel did as she said, and in an instant the entire house was swallowed by a wave of blue light, silent and blinding. When he opened his eyes again, the rain was gone, the sky was clear, and everything was quiet. The drone outside had vanished. But Era was lying on the floor, unconscious, her wrist device cracked and sparking. Daniel knelt beside her, his heart pounding. "Era, can you hear me?" he whispered. Her lips moved faintly. "They will come again," she murmured weakly. "Next time they will not stop." Daniel looked out into the dark forest beyond his home, his face pale, his mind full of fear and confusion. He didn't know who she truly was, or what she had just done to protect them. But one thing was clear now. His life and Leah's life would never be the same again. The house was silent again, but the silence was heavy, the kind that sits deep inside the chest. Daniel knelt beside Era, still unconscious, her silver skin dull and cracked with faint blue light leaking through. She looked less like a woman and more like a machine trying to breathe. Leah stood in the doorway, holding her toy bear, her small voice trembling. "Daddy, is she okay?" Daniel turned toward her, forcing a weak smile. "She will be, sweetheart," he said, though he wasn't sure if that was true. He didn't even know what she really was. He carried Era to the couch and covered her with a blanket. The wrist device on her arm was blinking rapidly, showing strange alien symbols. Then it stopped. Era's eyes opened slowly, glowing dim but alive. She looked at Daniel, her voice weak. "We have to leave. They will come again, stronger this time." Daniel frowned. "You need rest," he said. "You nearly burned yourself out." Era shook her head, sitting up slowly. "Rest will not save us," she whispered. "They will send hunters, ones that can smell memory." Daniel didn't understand. "Smell memory," he repeated, confused. Era nodded. "They can trace people through their emotional imprints. They will follow fear, love, regret, anything strong enough to leave a mark." Daniel's heart pounded. He looked toward Leah, who was still standing near the hallway. "Then we move," he said. "We get as far away as possible." Era closed her eyes for a moment, as if thinking, then nodded. "Yes, but we must take the northern road, avoid the main routes. They are already watching." Within minutes, Daniel packed a small bag, food, clothes, flashlight, and Leah's favorite blanket. He lifted his daughter and whispered, "Hold on tight, okay?" She nodded, her arms around his neck. Era followed them outside. The air was cold and heavy, the ground still wet from the earlier rain. The forest around the house seemed too quiet. Daniel could hear his own heartbeat. When they reached the truck, Era paused, looking at the sky. "Do you hear that?" she asked. Daniel listened. At first he heard nothing, but then a faint, low hum like a swarm of insects far away but getting closer. "They're coming," she said quietly. They jumped into the truck. Daniel started the engine and pressed the pedal. The old vehicle roared to life, its headlights cutting through the foggy road. As they drove deeper into the forest, the hum grew louder. Suddenly, a beam of blue light cut through the trees behind them, burning through branches like fire. Daniel swerved, the truck bouncing over roots and rocks. "What is that?" Leah cried, holding her father tightly. Era looked back, her voice urgent. "A scout drone, it's locking on us." She raised her hand, the wrist device glowing again, sending a wave of static energy backward. The beam flickered and broke apart. Daniel stared, shocked. "How did you do that?" Era didn't answer, her face pale and strained. "I can't do it again soon," she said. "Each time I use my power, I lose part of my core." The road narrowed, trees closing in around them. Daniel turned off the headlights and drove by moonlight, hoping the dark would hide them. But soon the hum returned, closer this time. Then something large flew over them, black and smooth, like a winged shadow, silent except for the wind it displaced. Era looked up and whispered, "A hunter ship." Daniel's hands tightened on the wheel. "We can't outrun that," he said. "No," Era said, "but we can hide." She pointed toward an old service tunnel half buried near the side of the road. Daniel didn't think twice. He drove the truck inside, turning off the engine. Silence returned, only the dripping of water from the tunnel ceiling. For a moment no one spoke. Daniel could feel Leah trembling against him. He placed a hand on her head. "It's okay, baby," he whispered. "Daddy, here." Era was staring at the tunnel walls, her glowing eyes scanning the old metal pipes. "This place," she murmured. "I know this place." Daniel frowned. "What do you mean? It's just an old maintenance tunnel." She shook her head slowly. "Not for me," she said softly. "This was one of their stations long ago." Before Daniel could reply, the hum outside grew louder. A beam of blue light scanned across the tunnel entrance. Era grabbed his arm. "Don't move," she whispered. "Don't even breathe." The light lingered for a moment, then moved on. The hum faded again. Silence returned. Daniel exhaled slowly. "That was close." Era nodded, her face pale. "Too close," she said. "They know you're with me now. That makes you a target too." Daniel frowned. "Why me? I'm just a man who picked up a stranger." Era looked at him, her eyes glowing faintly. "No, Daniel," she said quietly. "You're more than that." Daniel shook his head. "Stop saying that, what does it mean?" Era hesitated, as if deciding whether to tell him, then she said, "You were one of their test subjects." Daniel froze. "What?" "They took you once," she said, her voice shaking. "Years ago, before your daughter was born, they erased your memory, they made you forget. But they left a mark on you, I can see it." Daniel stared at her, his chest tight. Flashes of something flickered in his mind, bright white rooms, a cold metal table, voices he couldn't understand, and a woman's scream fading away. He gasped, gripping his head. "No, that's not real," he whispered. Era placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "It is," she said softly. "That's why I came, because they will come for you again." Daniel looked at her, confused and terrified. "Why? What do they want from me?" Era's eyes glowed brighter. "Because, Daniel, you were part of something they failed to control," she said. "You are their mistake." Before Daniel could respond, a loud crash shook the tunnel, dust falling from the ceiling. The blue light filled the entrance again, brighter and sharper. The ship had found them. Era stood, energy building around her. "Stay behind me," she said firmly. The air grew hot, blue sparks forming around her hands. Daniel grabbed Leah and hid behind the truck, his heart racing. The ship outside fired a beam into the tunnel, but it stopped midair, blocked by a shimmering blue shield. Era stood tall, her body glowing, the ground beneath her feet cracking from the energy. "Go," she shouted, "run while you can." Daniel didn't want to leave her, but the look in her eyes was not human anymore. It was fierce and ancient, filled with both strength and sorrow. He carried Leah and ran through the back of the tunnel, hearing the roar of energy behind him, the whole place shaking like an earthquake. When he finally looked back, the entrance was a storm of blue light and smoke, and Era was gone. Only silence remained. Leah whispered softly, "Daddy, will she come back?" Daniel didn't answer. He looked at the faint glow still pulsing through the tunnel walls, his heart heavy, his mind spinning. He didn't know if she was alive, or what she truly was, but deep inside, something told him that this wasn't the end. Somewhere above the clouds, the hunter ship turned away, its scanners focusing on a new signal. Daniel. The chase had only begun. The night was quiet, too quiet for Daniel's liking. He stood near the old barn, where he had first found Alara, the alien woman who had changed everything in his life. Her spaceship's broken remains still shimmered faintly under the moonlight, like forgotten metal bones buried in the dirt. Daniel's heart was heavy, filled with questions he didn't know how to ask. Alara had been distant all day, avoiding his gaze and speaking less. Her smile, once gentle and warm, now looked forced. Even little Emily, his daughter, had noticed it, asking, "Dad, is Miss Alara mad at us?" Daniel didn't know what to say. He only replied, "No, sweetheart, she's just thinking." But deep down, he knew something was wrong, terribly wrong. That night when Emily finally fell asleep, Daniel stepped outside. The air was cold and smelled of rain. He saw Alara standing near the barn again, her silver hair reflecting the faint starlight. Her hands were trembling, and her eyes were filled with fear, not sadness, fear. He called out softly, "Alara, talk to me, please." She turned slowly, her voice shaking. "Daniel, they've found me," she whispered. He froze. Who found you?" "The hunters," she said, her voice barely audible. "They are not from Earth, Daniel. They are from my world, and they are coming." A chill ran down his spine. He took a step closer. "Coming here? Why?" "To take me back," she said, her eyes glistening with tears. "To punish me for escaping, for hiding with you, for breaking the law of our kind." Daniel felt anger rise in his chest. "You're not going anywhere," he said firmly. "I won't let anyone take you." Alara shook her head slowly. "You don't understand, Daniel. They are powerful. They can track energy signatures across galaxies. Even your planet won't hide me for long." Before Daniel could speak, a strange sound echoed through the forest, like a deep hum, mechanical and alive. The sky above them shimmered with red streaks, and a faint circle of light appeared far beyond the clouds. Alara's face went pale. "They're here," she said in a trembling voice. "They found us sooner than I expected." Daniel ran inside and grabbed his daughter, wrapping her in a blanket. Alara shouted, "No, they only want me, you must run." But Daniel refused. "I won't leave you behind, Alara. You saved my daughter that night. You think I'll let you face this alone?" Tears streamed down her face. "Daniel, you don't know what they'll do. They will erase everything. They will erase you from existence if they see you with me." Suddenly, the ground vibrated. A blinding light poured over the barn, and a massive shadow descended from the sky. Daniel shielded Emily's eyes while Alara stepped forward, raising her hands in surrender. A metallic voice echoed, cold and commanding. "Alara of Sithra, by order of the Council, you are to be returned for violation of interplanetary law." Daniel shouted, "You can't take her, she's not your prisoner." The light shifted toward him, scanning him like a beam of fire. Alara screamed, "No, don't hurt him." Her body glowed faintly, a strange energy bursting from her skin, forming a protective barrier around Daniel and Emily. The aliens paused for a moment, as if calculating what to do next. Alara turned to Daniel with desperate eyes. "Take Emily and run, please. Don't let her see this." Daniel shook his head. "No, I'm not running." He stepped forward, holding Alara's hand tightly. "You helped me when I was broken, when I was lost," he said, his voice cracking. "I don't care if you're from another world. You're family now." Alara's lips trembled as tears sparkled on her cheeks. For the first time she smiled again, but it was a sad smile, full of goodbye. "Then you must know the truth, Daniel," she whispered. "The reason I was hunted, the reason I came to Earth, was not by accident." Daniel frowned, confused. "What do you mean?" Alara looked up at the stars, her voice soft and trembling. "There's something inside me, a weapon, a secret my people want back, and now it's waking up." The barn lights flickered violently. Daniel heard a faint pulse like a heartbeat, echoing in the air. Alara fell to her knees, clutching her chest as a glowing mark appeared across her skin, spreading like fire. The alien ship above began to roar, its lights turning crimson. Daniel held her tightly as she screamed, "Run, Daniel, before it's too late." But he didn't move. He stayed by her side, his arms wrapped around her as the light consumed them both. And then silence. The sky went dark again. The only sound left was the soft whisper of the wind through the trees. Somewhere far beyond the stars, something ancient had awakened. And Daniel's fate was now bound to it forever. When the blinding light faded, there was only silence. Daniel opened his eyes slowly, blinking as his vision adjusted. He expected to see the barn, the trees, the familiar night sky. But none of it was there. He was lying on smooth silver ground, under a sky that shimmered like liquid glass. The air was thick, glowing faintly blue with every breath he took. And Alara, she was gone. "Emily," he shouted, his voice echoing endlessly across the vast metallic plain. He spun around, heart pounding, searching for any sign of her. Then from behind a shattered crystal structure, a small voice cried out, "Dad." Daniel ran, stumbling over strange stones that pulsed with light. He found Emily sitting beside what looked like a broken archway, her eyes wide in fear and wonder. "Where are we?" she whispered, clutching his arm tightly. Daniel didn't know. He looked around, trying to find something, anything, that made sense. The horizon curved upward like they were standing inside a giant dome. Distant cities floated in the air, and enormous silver towers spiraled toward the stars. But everything was quiet, unnaturally quiet. "Ilara," he called. No answer, only a faint echo carried by the glowing wind. Then a soft hum rose from beneath the ground. The metal beneath their feet shifted like it was alive. Emily gasped, "Dad, it's moving." Before Daniel could react, the surface rippled and opened into a glowing path, leading toward a distant floating platform. At its center, a tall figure stood waiting, shrouded in light. Daniel held Emily's hand and walked carefully forward, every step echoing like a heartbeat. As they approached, the figure's shape became clearer. It was Ilara. But she looked different now. Her hair flowed like silver fire, her eyes glowing brighter than before. Strange symbols burned faintly across her arms, moving like living tattoos. "Ilara," Daniel whispered, "what happened to you?" She looked at him with sorrow and warmth mixed together. "You shouldn't have followed me here," she said softly. "You crossed into the world of my people, the world I was trying to protect you from." Daniel shook his head. "You think I could just leave you to face this alone?" Ilara's eyes glimmered. "You don't understand, Daniel. The hunters didn't take us. The core did. It's alive, and it brought us here because it knows who you are." He frowned, confused and angry. "Who I am? I'm just a man who wanted to help you." But Ilara looked down, her voice trembling. "No, Daniel, you were never just a man." The ground beneath them pulsed again, and the light around them grew brighter. A deep, mechanical voice echoed from all directions. "Subject 47 detected. Human integration confirmed." Daniel's heart stopped. "Subject 47, what does that mean?" Ilara took a deep breath. "Your planet, Earth, wasn't random. My people placed something there long ago, a fragment of our creation, and it merged with one of your ancestors. You are part of us, Daniel. That's why you could sense me the night we met. That's why the core brought you here." Daniel stepped back, disbelief washing over him. "That's insane. I'm not one of you." Ilara reached out to him, her hand glowing softly. "Then how do you explain this?" she whispered, touching his chest. A sudden warmth filled him. The light spread across his body, revealing faint lines beneath his skin, the same glowing symbols as hers. Emily gasped, "Dad, you're glowing too." Daniel staggered, clutching his chest as memories flashed before his eyes, visions of stars, ships, and ancient worlds. He fell to his knees, gasping for air. "What's happening to me?" Ilara knelt beside him, holding his shoulders. "It's awakening, Daniel, the part of you that has slept for centuries. You are the bridge between our worlds, the key they've been searching for." He looked up at her, trembling. "Then why are they hunting you?" "Because," she whispered, tears forming, "I took the key before they could use it. I took you." Suddenly, the light around them flickered violently. The sky cracked open, revealing dark ships descending from above. Thousands of crimson eyes blinked within the storm clouds. Ilara's face hardened. "They've found us again," she said, standing tall. "The council won't stop this time. They'll destroy everything to reclaim what's inside you." Daniel stood beside her, still dizzy. "But what do they want from me?" Ilara looked up at the approaching ships, her voice heavy with dread. "They want your blood, Daniel. It's the missing code that can wake the core and control all life connected to it." As the ground shook, Emily clung to her father. "Dad, I'm scared," she whispered. He hugged her tightly, whispering back, "I won't let anything happen to you." Ilara turned to him, her eyes glowing fiercely. "There's only one way to stop them," she said, "but it means giving up everything you know, your world, your name, your human life." Daniel looked at her in silence, his heart pounding. "Tell me what to do," he said finally. "Just don't let them take my daughter." Ilara placed her hand over his. "Then you must become what you were meant to be," she said softly. Her body began to dissolve into light, swirling around him. The symbols on his skin burned brighter until they merged with hers. Daniel screamed as the energy surged through him, shaking the ground. The ships above paused midair, as if frozen. Then everything exploded into light. The core roared like thunder, and the sky turned white. Emily's voice echoed faintly, "Dad," before everything faded into silence. When the light dimmed, Daniel was gone. Only Emily stood alone beneath the glass sky. And far above, a new star began to shine, a star that pulsed like a human heartbeat. Emily opened her eyes to silence. The air was still, glowing faintly blue, and a cold mist wrapped around her like a dream. For a moment, she thought she was back home in her small bed, with the sound of her father's soft snoring nearby. But when she looked up, the sky above her shimmered like glass, and strange lights floated like living stars. She sat up slowly, her heart racing. "Dad," she called, her small voice echoing far into the distance. No answer, only the soft hum of something alive beneath her feet. She was standing on a massive platform made of silver, surrounded by tall spires that twisted like metal vines. Each tower glowed with a faint pulse, beating in the same rhythm as her own heart. "Dad, where are you?" she whispered again, tears welling in her eyes. But instead of her father's voice, she heard another, soft and calm, coming from everywhere and nowhere at once. "Emily Daniels, do not be afraid." She froze, spinning around. "Who's there?" The mist parted, and a figure appeared before her, tall, dressed in flowing silver robes, its face hidden beneath a shining mask. "I am the keeper," it said gently, "and you are in the heart of the core." Emily stepped back, trembling. "Where's my dad? Where, Ilara?" The figure tilted its head. "Ilara of Sithra is gone. Her essence has merged with the core. And your father, he has become something greater." Emily shook her head, crying, "No, you're lying, bring them back." The keeper knelt down, its glowing eyes softening. "I cannot undo what has already begun, child," it said quietly. "But you carry what they left behind, a connection between two worlds, and a power neither side yet understands." Emily didn't understand. She only knew her father was gone, and she was alone in a place that felt too big, too cold, too strange. But then something flickered in her palm. She looked down, a small light pulsed in her hand, forming into a faint image of her father's face. He was smiling, though his eyes looked distant. "Emily," the echo of his voice said, "if you're seeing this, it means I've become part of the core, but I'm still with you." Her lips trembled. "Dad, please come back," she whispered. "I can't," the image said softly, "not yet, but you have to stay brave, Em. There's something coming. The council will try to use you, don't let them. Find the gate, find Alara's mark. It will lead you to me." Then the light faded, leaving only darkness and the echo of his final words. Emily wiped her tears and looked around, her small hands trembling. "The gate," she whispered. "Okay, Dad, I'll find it." The keeper watched her with silent eyes. "You do not understand the danger, child," it said. "The council has already sensed your awakening. You carry both human and Sithran blood now. They will hunt you as they hunted Alara." Emily swallowed hard. "Then let them come," she said softly, a flicker of courage lighting her voice. "I'm not running." Suddenly the air shifted. A deep tremor shook the ground, and cracks of red light burst through the metallic floor. The keeper turned sharply. "They are here," it said. "Run, Emily." Before she could move, a storm of black drones descended from the sky, their red eyes burning through the mist. A voice echoed through the air, sharp and cold. "Locate the hybrid child. Do not destroy, capture alive." Emily bolted, her small feet pounding across the glowing bridge. The drones fired beams of crimson light that sliced through the air behind her. She screamed, ducking and rolling as the ground exploded where she had stood a moment before. The keeper raised its arms, summoning a shimmering shield to block the blasts. "Go," it shouted. "Head for the lower spire, the gate lies beneath." Emily ran, her heart hammering like a drum. She reached the edge of the platform, where a long staircase spiraled down into darkness. The air grew colder the deeper she went. Every step echoed with strange whispers, voices she didn't understand, speaking from the metal walls themselves. Then she reached a massive circular chamber. At its center floated a glowing structure, a ring of light spinning slowly, humming with power. The gate, she thought, remembering her father's words. She took a step closer, but before she could reach it, something landed behind her with a crash. She turned and froze. It wasn't a drone. It was a tall, armored figure, its silver armor marked with glowing red lines. Its eyes were like burning coals. And when it spoke, its voice rumbled like thunder. "You are the child of the traitor Alara and the human key," it said. "You belong to us now." Emily backed away, fear gripping her chest. "No," she shouted, "you can't take me." The figure stepped forward, raising its hand. A beam of red light shot toward her. But before it could touch her, the mark on her hand began to glow. A shockwave burst from her body, throwing the armored figure backward. The gate behind her roared to life, its light expanding into a swirling vortex. The voice of her father echoed faintly in her mind. "Run, Emily, through the gate." She looked back once, tears streaming down her face. Then she jumped, disappearing into the blinding light. The armored soldier staggered to his feet, staring into the fading vortex. "She's gone," he growled. But above him, the keeper's voice whispered softly, "No, she has only just begun." And somewhere beyond the gate, in a new world untouched by either human or alien, a small child fell through the stars, carrying within her the power to change the fate of both. Emily fell through the light for what felt like forever. Her body weightless, her heartbeat echoing louder than the wind around her. Then suddenly, she crashed through a veil of gold mist and landed hard on soft ground. She gasped, sitting up, her vision blurry and her chest aching. The air was warm, warmer than before, and filled with the scent of strange flowers, glowing like tiny lanterns. Above her stretched two suns, one silver and one orange, casting twin shadows that danced on the ground. She looked around in awe. The land shimmered like a dream, vast fields of blue grass, rivers that flowed upward, and mountains that glowed faintly in the distance. "This isn't Earth," she whispered. Her father's voice echoed faintly in her mind. "No, Emily, it's the world that connects them all." Her heart tightened. "Dad, are you here?" she called. But only the wind replied, whispering through the strange glowing leaves. She got to her feet, dusting off her clothes. She was still clutching the silver pendant Alara had once given her, the one that now pulsed softly, like it was alive. As she took her first step, the ground beneath her feet rippled like water. Images flickered within it, memories of her father holding her, of Alara smiling, of the barn glowing under the alien light. She froze, staring down. "What is this place?" she whispered. A voice behind her answered softly, "This is the nexus of worlds, the place where all stories begin and all destinies meet." She turned sharply. Standing behind her was an old man, tall, wearing a cloak woven from starlight. His eyes glowed faintly blue, but his face looked human. "Who are you?" Emily asked, taking a cautious step back. The man smiled gently. "I am called Oren," he said. "I am the watcher of the two suns, the last guardian of this place. And you, child, are the first human ever to set foot here alive." Emily's heart pounded. "Where's my dad?" she asked quickly. Oren's expression grew heavy. "Your father has become part of the core," he said softly. "His body is gone, but his essence remains within the flow of creation. He watches you, even now." Tears welled in her eyes. "Then help me find him, please. I can feel he's still out there." Oren looked toward the silver sun, his cloak fluttering in the warm wind. "To find him," he said, "you must awaken what lies within you. The core's light lives inside your heart, passed from both Alara and Daniel. But if you unlock it, the council will sense you again, and they will come." Emily clenched her fists. "Let them," she said, her voice trembling but fierce. "I'm not afraid anymore." Oren studied her for a long moment, then nodded. "Very well," he said quietly, "follow me." He led her through a glowing forest where the trees whispered secrets, and the air shimmered with fragments of memory. Strange creatures watched them from the shadows, beings of light with wings of mist. Finally, they reached a stone temple carved into the side of a floating mountain. Oren stopped before a tall door covered in alien symbols. "This is the Chamber of Echoes," he said. "It will show you the truth and the path you must take." Emily stepped forward. As soon as her hand touched the door, it glowed. The symbols rearranged themselves into words she could understand. "Only the blood of two worlds may open the path." Her pendant began to pulse, brighter and brighter, until the entire doorway dissolved into light. Inside was a vast chamber, silent, endless, filled with floating shards of glass that reflected thousands of scenes from different worlds. Emily walked slowly, each step echoing like thunder. One shard showed Earth, her old home, the little house, her father fixing the roof. Another showed Sithra, Alara's world, burning under the shadow of war. She reached out and touched one of the shards. Instantly, her mind flooded with images. Alara standing before the council, defying them. Daniel holding a broken piece of alien metal, staring at the stars. And then something else. A vision of her father, alive, trapped in a web of light deep inside the core. "Emily," his voice whispered faintly, "you're so close, but they're coming." The glass around her shattered. The entire chamber trembled violently. Oren shouted, "Emily, you must leave now." But before she could move, a tear in the air opened behind her, swirling with crimson energy. Through it stepped a figure she recognized, the armored soldier who had chased her before. Only now his armor was cracked, his eyes burning with hatred. "You escaped once," he growled, "but you won't again. The core belongs to us, and so do you." Oren raised his staff, summoning a burst of blue light to block him. But the soldier struck with inhuman speed, shattering the barrier and sending Oren crashing against the wall. Emily screamed, running toward the fallen guardian. He pressed a glowing stone into her palm and whispered weakly, "Take this, the key of the suns, use it to awaken him." The soldier lunged, grabbing Emily by the arm. But as he did, the mark on her hand flared, blindingly bright. A shockwave burst from her body, throwing him backward. The temple walls cracked, the ceiling collapsing in a storm of fire and light. Emily clutched the glowing stone tightly and ran toward the exit as the world around her crumbled. Outside, the sky was torn open by thunder and flames. The twin suns flickered, one turning red, the other fading into darkness. Emily fell to her knees, gasping. The stone in her hand began to melt into light. And her father's voice whispered again, stronger this time. "Emily, use it. I'm waiting beyond the suns." She looked up, her face streaked with tears and determination. She raised the glowing key high. "I'm coming, Dad," she whispered. The sky answered with a roar. A beam of silver light shot from the key, piercing the heavens. The two suns aligned for the first time in thousands of years. And a massive portal opened between them, swirling with gold and silver light. Emily stepped forward, her hair whipping in the wind. Behind her, the dark soldiers screamed, trying to reach her. But the light consumed everything, the temple, the mountain, the sky itself. And as she disappeared into the shining gateway, a voice echoed through all worlds, calm, powerful, and eternal. The child of two worlds has awakened. The cycle begins anew. The screen fades to black, the sound of a heartbeat echoing softly. Then a whisper from the stars.